The poorest zodiac signs. They will not get rich. There are zodiac signs for whom the universe seems to have turned off access to financial flows. They try, fight, dream, but money slips away like water through fingers. This is not an accident or a punishment. This is an ancient astrocode of their nature. Today we will analyze which zodiac signs are included in this list, why wealth is like a mirage for them, and most importantly, how they can break out of the vicious circle of material limitations. We will not lull you with beautiful promises. This is a revelation, the pure truth about the signs that are destined to go the path of poverty. If you want to know whether you carry this karmic imprint within you, watch to the end. Subscribe to the channel if you want to receive honest and deep astrology without water and illusions. And write in the comments, do you recognize yourself or someone close to you in this revelation? Let's move on to those who are not destined for wealth, at least until they learn the main secret. The first sign is Leo. Leo is used to maintaining good posture, even if there is emptiness behind him. He will look confident, even when he does not know how to pay the next bill. His poverty is not always visible, because he is a master at creating the illusion of wealth. But behind the external gloss, representatives of this sign often hide chronic financial stress. And the problem is not at all in the lack of abilities, but in how he manages his opportunities. Leo is one of those who are used to spending in advance. It is important for him not just to have money, but for it to be visible. Generous gestures, expensive gifts, a glossy external image, all this requires investment, but savings, strategy, cold calculation. This is what seems boring, gray, unworthy of his nature to Leo. He prefers to take out a loan for luxury than to live modestly and save. His thinking is focused on instant recognition and not on long-term benefits. Leo's financial behavior is based on the desire for status. He willingly spends money to emphasize his exclusivity, but often forgets about the safety cushion. If Leo faces a crisis, he does not know how to squeeze. It is easier for him to hide behind an external facade than to admit that he has miscalculated. As a result, debts, financial holes, dependence on external support. He does not admit this to anyone because he cannot bear a blow to his pride. Leo rarely calculates risks. He tends to overestimate his resources and underestimate the consequences. Hence, spontaneous investments in failed projects, participation in dubious schemes, belief in everything at once. Instead of strategy, he relies on the effect, and the effect does not bring a stable income. He invests in the image without creating a base. Even when a chance to earn money appears, Leo often loses it because he is not ready to do something that does not cause admiration. He does not like to start from scratch. He is afraid of being small, invisible. But money often comes in silence, through work, invisible from the outside. Leo wants applause before the result, and when there is none, he loses interest. He does not follow through if he does not feel admiration. And without completion, there is no profit. That is why Leo can live a life full of external brilliance, but internally, with financial failures. It is not wealth as a tool that is important to him, but as a confirmation of his own importance. And this makes him vulnerable to manipulation, to erroneous choices, to dependence on someone else's approval. He is not poor in mind. He is poor because of the internal need for recognition, which he buys and does not earn. The second sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius lives large. He does not count coins. He is focused on the horizon. Money for him is just a means of transportation in the space of ideas, opportunities, emotions. He does not save, does not invest, does not analyze financial risks. He dreams. And in this dream, practicality is often lost. As a result, this sign can end up in the category of the poorest, despite a bright mind and natural passion. Sagittarius's financial difficulties are a direct consequence of his desire for freedom. He rejects boundaries and therefore discipline. He does not tolerate control, does not tolerate restrictions, and therefore does not build a system. But wealth loves order. Money comes where it is comfortable, where it is counted and directed. For Sagittarius, everything is subordinated to the moment. If there is, we spend. If not, we will break through. He knows how to earn. He can suddenly receive a large sum, but keeping it is the problem. Sagittarius is prone to spontaneous purchases, travel, investments, on inspiration. He believes that money is a flow that will resume itself. Therefore, he spends without fear, but also without a strategy. And when the flow breaks, he is not ready. He does not know how to tighten his belt because he does not think in terms of survival. Another reason for Sagittarius's poverty is an overestimation of prospects. He tends to idealize ideas, people, projects. He invests in what seems to him to be large-scale, but forgets to check the reality. It is not the loss of money that strikes him, but the destruction of the illusion. And at such moments, he can withdraw into himself, lose activity, begin to avoid responsibility. He does not keep records. He does not make plans. He does not study the market. His method is intuition, inspiration, impulse. This means that he often falls into traps, from scammers to his own mistakes. And although he knows how to recover, poverty becomes his constant companion precisely because of the cyclicality. He does not learn from financial failures. He just moves on, hoping that next time he will be lucky. Sagittarius is not poor because of stupidity. He is poor because of the lack of a system. He has ideas, ambitions, talent, but there is no structure, patience, self-control. And without these elements, wealth is not formed. His money flows away to the same place where it came from, in impulses, in spontaneity, in the belief that everything will somehow work out. And if things don't work out, he just looks forward without looking back. And so on, year after year. The third sign is Capricorn. Capricorn goes through life with cold calculation, faith in discipline, and a precise plan. But this is precisely what becomes his main financial break. He does not believe in luck. He does not trust intuition. He does not allow spontaneous decisions. And wealth is always an element of risk. His path is too straightforward, too rigid to open access to easy money. He builds himself a stone staircase when others go up in an elevator. And even if he gets to the top, it will not be luxury, but just a point with no room for error. He does not know how to relax, and this blocks the financial flow. Money senses when it is expected with tension, and Capricorn always waits with an internal clamp. He cannot afford to lose, so he does not take risks. He cannot trust the process, so he controls everything. He spends more time on retention than on creation. His energy is spent not on expansion, but on maintaining the framework. And even if the money comes, it does not stay, because he sees a threat behind every dollar. What if there is no tomorrow? Capricorn sets limits for himself that do not exist. He believes that he must earn every penny, work for every opportunity. He does not believe that it can be just like that, quickly, unexpectedly. Therefore, he passes by many chances that do not require effort, but courage. He says no when he needs to take a risk. He says later when he needs to act. He wastes time on doubts, and wealth goes to those who act immediately. In addition, it is difficult for Capricorn to accept help. He prefers to rely only on himself. He does not know how to ask, does not know how to share, does not know how to allow partnership in finances. And money loves movement, connection, mutual flow. He keeps everything to himself, thinking that control equals security. But in fact, this creates stagnation. Capricorn accumulates, but does not increase. His energy is directed at survival, not abundance. He also focuses too much on stability. This makes him afraid of change. He can tolerate low wages for years just to keep his job. He can refuse investments because he does not understand the market. He can be afraid of loans, partnerships, scaling, because he sees chaos in this. As a result, he himself keeps himself in poverty, considering this the norm. He does not consider himself poor. He considers himself responsible. And this is the main problem. Capricorn is afraid to dream big. He relies on discipline, forgetting that money comes to those who open doors for them, and he closes them in advance. He does not allow the thought that you can have more than you need. For him, this seems impudence. And the universe does not give a reward to those who are not ready to accept it. He works, he knows how to wait, he endures difficulties. But all this is the path to a stable minimum, and not to prosperity. Because prosperity requires flexibility, faith, inner freedom. And Capricorn is clad in armor, and while he is in it, money will not be attracted to him. He can change his financial reality only when he lets go of control, when he stops thinking that suffering is the path to results, when he realizes that money comes not for effort, but for wealth. And while he is tense, in fear of losing, in constant self-discipline, wealth passes by, because it requires different vibrations. Capricorn is capable of much, but his poverty is not in his wallet. It is in his attitudes. And while he lives by the old survival code, he will not enter the abundance code. The fourth sign is Gemini. The inability to hold on to money is not a temporary phenomenon, but a systemic problem, typical for many representatives of this sign. Geminis have an incredibly agile mind, quick thinking, but this is what becomes a trap. As soon as they get at least some amount in their hands, their attention instantly switches from one desire to another. Money, before it has time to really appear, immediately disappears. The reasons are not in external circumstances, but in the approach itself. Lack of focus, inconsistency of interests, vague goals. All this makes financial prosperity almost unattainable. Attempts to save up end with the funds being spent on impulsive purchases, new gadgets, trips, entertainment, which quickly lose relevance. Geminis do not know how to distinguish between the important and the urgent. It is difficult for them to keep their attention on a long-term strategy. Their inner chaos is reflected in the financial sphere. They can earn money quickly, but they do not know how to distribute. Any investments end in losses because they are made without analysis, under the influence of the moment. Even with a high level of education or skills, Geminis cannot build a stable financial foundation. They often change jobs, areas of activity, partners. Stable growth requires consistency, which they simply do not have. They quickly get bored with everything, and they themselves reset what they have already started. A business started with enthusiasm quickly falls apart due to loss of interest. Money requires discipline, and Geminis have it in last place. Even when a chance to get rich comes, they do not see it or lose it. They do not have the patience to bring it to the result. They give up halfway or relax too early. They easily fall under the influence of other people's advice and lose control over their decisions. It is important for them to be on trend, and this becomes an expensive habit. Status is more important to them than substance. They easily spend on external attributes, clothes, accessories, gadgets, while forgetting about the safety cushion or basic needs. Their weakness is the fear of missing out. It is this that makes them rush about, grab onto everything, and ultimately bring nothing to completion. Financial instability becomes part of their character. Twins do not have a basic sense of security. They are used to living in a day-to-day mode, hoping that they will somehow get out of it. And they often get out of it, but always on the edge. They do not shine with stable wealth because they do not build a solid foundation. All their financial behavior is a continuous improvisation without a score. When representatives of this sign get a chance to escape poverty, they are not ready to hold on to it. Wealth is not only about opportunities, but also about the willingness to realize them. Twins do not have an internal demand for financial stability. They want easy money, quick results, and when they do not get this, they roll back. Even if someone tries to help, the result will be short-term. Without internal discipline and a structured approach, any money in their hands slips away like water through their fingers. Geminis are not poor by nature. They are poor because of the lack of a system. And until they learn to focus, prioritize, and control their desires, financial success will remain an inaccessible peak for them. No external circumstances can correct the fact that they themselves lack the main thing, financial maturity. The fifth sign is Aries. It all starts with impatience. Aries do not know how to wait. They want everything at once, and this is the main enemy of their financial growth. As soon as an idea appears, they rush into battle. But money does not like haste. To get rich, you need to be able to build, analyze, calculate risks. Aries does not do this. He acts impulsively. He takes risks not when it is justified, but when he just wants something new. Because of this, he loses more often than he wins. Aries are bad at counting. They overestimate income and underestimate expenses. They do not see the little things that ultimately result in large losses. They do not have the patience to keep records, save, wait for a favorable moment. Aries invests money where it is louder and brighter, and not where it is more reliable. This makes him vulnerable. He often becomes a victim of financial manipulation because he believes in force and not in calculation. Even when Aries has opportunities, he burns them. He does not know how to scale success. He gets bored quickly. He does not work for the result. He works for the feeling of victory. As soon as it becomes clear that money requires routine work, Aries loses interest. He does not build systems, does not delegate, does not think for years ahead. All this seems slow and uninteresting to him. He wants a flash, not a process. His ambitions are ahead of his capabilities. Aries can get into debt for the sake of an idea without calculating the consequences. He easily takes out loans, easily gets into adventures, then suffers, blames others, but does not change his approach. For him, defeat is a personal tragedy, but not a reason to reconsider the strategy. He will repeat the same mistakes, hoping that next time he will be lucky. Wealth requires flexibility, and Aries has only pressure. The biggest problem of Aries is lack of control. He does not control emotions, desires, expenses. If an idea appears, it is immediately implemented without analysis. If you see that someone has achieved success, you urgently need to do the same, even if this is not your path. He does not know how to follow his own route. He runs where it seems faster, and stumbles all the time. Aries burns resources, strength, money, and does not see where he is losing. Wealth requires construction. Aries is not a builder. He is a destroyer. He creates, but then immediately breaks, because he wants it differently, better, more powerfully. He does not know how to finish. Every project turns into a draft. Every idea ends in chaos. He does not have an inner sense of enough. He does not know how to stop himself. Money does not come where there is disorder. Aries has a strong potential, but he is not able to stabilize it. He can get rich, but for a short time. For a long time, no. He will not hold on. Everything will burn out in enthusiasm, in the desire to be the first, in a race with himself. Aries is not poor by fate. He is poor in approach. And until discipline, structure, and conscious money management are in place, wealth will remain an illusion.